So we're here at the question and answer for the 100 closes audio that I did, which is the world record for how many closes somebody can do on a call. I think the person, somebody told me that the best recorded call of a real conversation right now is I think nine closes in a row, and I did 100. So some people want to know how I do that. Some of you already know me quite well on this call, and some people, it's nice to welcome you aboard. And Mickey, can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, excellent. So we're going to begin, and I'm going to be talking about prospecting, and there'll be chances for you to actually listen to me, talk to people, answer their questions, and even perhaps, if we're fortunate, we'll do a role play too. And so I've got some notes I made, and I'm going to start off with the subject of prospecting. So remember, when we're prospecting, we're not looking for leads. We are looking for appointments. So when I'm prospecting, and I hear people talk about prospecting, and they talk about it, they talk about getting leads. So when I first became a coaching client of a company, they sent me this form, and I had to track how many attempts, how many contacts, how many leads, and how many appointments. And instinctively, it didn't make any sense to track how many leads, because what is a lead? It's nothing. It's just a promise or something that someone may do something. And I never wanted that false sense of satisfaction of getting a lead. So in my coaching, the closing machine coaching program, we focus on appointments. So when we're on the phone, if we're focusing on getting appointments and that's all we want, then we don't let go. You see, the one that's collecting leads is, and I've seen people prospect all over North America. They go, oh, great. Okay, so next week, excellent. Let me write down your number. I'll give you a call. And as you know, some of them, the prospectors say, next year, 2022, in spring, great. Let me put you down. And they don't even go for the close. So I actually was I was listening to so-called top agents, and they were, in production. And so what happened is someone had that role play. It's only last week where somebody said, great, next, you want to sell, I think it was like 6 months down the road or whatever. They're not ready yet. Great. Okay. I'll follow up. And they put the phone down. And the idea was now they're going to send them letters. I'm thinking, why didn't you? And actually, the prospect actually said, no, I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell. Then the customer said, the prospect. And then the salesperson said, you've heard how good the market is right now, right? Would you sell if it was a good price? And the prospect actually said, well, if it's the right price, yeah. You didn't even hear him. This prospector, who's teaching people, by the way, is a coach, didn't even hear him say that. I didn't look at that opportunity. So when the prospect said, well, for the right price, yeah, he didn't say, okay, well, great, I'll keep in touch. And then that coach that person that wants to coach people and is coaching people was asked by their participants, so what would you do now? He goes, oh, I'll follow up with emails, and I'll send direct mail, all nice things. But all he had to say, if he was my student, is what price is that? Because the guy just gave you a buying signal. And I'm seeing this lack of skill everywhere. And people are wondering why they can't get listings. Well, two reasons. They're not making calls. Number two, they're not good at making calls, I guess. The simple as that. So if you want to get good at making calls, you come to me. And what will happen is you'll automatically do more prospecting. Because the person who's going to the gym consistently is seeing results, getting encouraged. Why do people stop going? Many reasons. One is they're not getting results. That they go, well, I've been 3 months. I don't see any weight coming up, whatever. It takes time. So have you noticed that when you're getting results, you're encouraged to do the activity, whatever it is. So we'll get, people getting results. I got 100% success rate. I can get anyone within 2 weeks setting listing appointments. And I've had people work with me personally in my office. I've had people out there, nobody can actually question. They go, actually, that's actually true. Not only myself, there's no one ever saw in his coaching that couldn't set appointments, listing appointments within 2 weeks. It's impossible. You can't not do it. Because I'll tell you exactly what to say. We'll look at your calls. You'll watch me, etc., etc. So I want you to have the confidence that once you know the skills, you can be a formidable opponent in your marketplace. Somebody who people are threatened by, because you can go into any farm area. The person's been working it. She's been working it for 9 years, sending flyers, pumpkin festivals, whatever. And you walk in, just make a call and get a listing. In fact, what happened is that once I was at my gas station, I'm saying gas station, it was actually a dealership. And so what happened is I was there in this particular area, and they actually talk about me. It's in Brampton, this particular place where I took my car. I bought it from them, so I took it them in the shop. They still talk about me, actually. The owners of the dealership, they're really well known in that community. And I keep hearing they're talking about me. Anyway, so what I used to do is prospect, while, and at that time we had cell phones, believe it or not. We had pages. So I used to use their phone, get a desk and be prospecting. And I started to get listing appointments all the way back. And there's a place called Malton, and Maurice will know it, and some people here. And so what happened is I started prospecting these numbers, and on the way back, I started getting listings. And this gentleman, Mr. Siney, he works for a big company in Malton. He actually called me. He said, "Hey, you got a listing in our area?" I said, I said, "Yeah, I was just passing through." That's exactly what I said. "Yeah, I was just passing through, Mr. Siney." I still remember. I should give him a call. Anyway, yeah. So I want you to know that you have that capability. And what is it? It's knowing what to say, but it's some of the things too. So let's go through a few points. So remember, number one, your intention of prospecting is to set an appointment, not to get leads. Oh, by the way, the good news is when you call and you're setting appointments, what will happen is that the ones you don't get, there's people here. Great. So when you're prospecting and you're getting appointments, great. Now, what if you don't get appointments? By having the attitude that you're prospecting for appointments, what will happen is your leads will be better. So you will get leads, but there'll be better leads because you asked a lot of questions, you forced the issue. So it's a win-win, beautiful situation, right? So next, when you have a hot one on the phone, someone that, well, yeah, no, not really, maybe, you never accept a no when a yes is still possible. You never accept a no when a yes is still possible. And that's your attitude. And all you have to do is go to my YouTube and watch my call where I didn't take no for an answer. And the beautiful thing is that I'm actually revealing some of my stuff I never did before. Right, Maurice? He's a very good friend of mine. So anyway, he knows me so long. So what happened is that I never let anything out of the bag. And just now I'm giving people a taste of it. And it's kind of fun because it's good to see the reaction. And I have some ridiculous calls. Like I have a call where I should probably release that too. Maybe I'll ask my coaching clients if I should. So anyway, so what happened is I called a lady and she said, "I'm not listing with you. Are you kidding?" She said, "Yeah, I've had so many calls. I've had a friend in the business. I have a friend who's a personal friend. And I would never dream of leaving them. Why would I go with you?" And she wasn't rude. She was just very firm, an older lady. I actually had a lot of respect for her because of her conviction. It's a country property up north, not a cheap one though. And so I said, "I understand." So I started to listen, and then I started to ask questions. And she said, "Yeah, well, I wish he would have sold it, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, I convinced her. It's all on tape. She said, "Let me speak to you. I'll speak to my son." So I left the number. Next thing you know, the son calls. And he said, "I want to speak to you about this property." So what happened is I called back. I recorded every single thing, even the voicemail. I made all the tracks. I joined them together. And so I called him back, and she answered. And you know what I did? It's strategic. I didn't even talk to her because I said, "Oh, I'll just I won't mention his name here." I said, "Is David there, please?" And she said, "Yes." And I put him on the phone, and I completely convinced him, to list the property. And we listed it. It took, I think, about 8 months to sell it because it's up in the boonies. It's a high price property, but we sold it. But if you heard that lady, it was almost impossible. I have another one on a street called Calvington, where she said, my husband passed away, and she wasn't Italian. He said, she was Italian. And she said that I've already decided who to list with. And she gave me the name. And it's a very popular agent. She goes, "This is the name. We all know it is." I said, "That's fine." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "So you're too late." She goes, "I've already decided." Because actually, she said, "You're not even number 2." She said, "Actually, you're number 3." Because I actually promised the guy across the road that I'll list with him. Anyway, I started talking to her and about her, and she was really admired her Italian husband. And she said that, how handsome he was and everything like that. It was so cute. Anyway, then she said that, I don't know how it happened. She said, what happened is that I was on an elevator in the Eaton Center, and me and my friend were there, and a young gentleman came, probably Italian too. And anyway, she didn't mention that, I think, but she said that he was so handsome. It reminded me of my husband. He was so well put together. I said, "What was he wearing?" And she told me all the colors and everything like that. So anyway, she said he was wearing this and that. He was so pristine. So I was just talking to her. And next thing you know, I put the phone down and I called my buddy, Italiano. I called him and I said, "You're going to go to this appointment." And it's exactly what to wear. He went over there. Not only did we get the listing, we sold it, but she also bought a property on Dundas Street. Yeah. And I have that on a cassette if anybody wants to hear it. That's just a one-call appointment. But the reason I'm saying that is not for me. I want to give you the confidence that these things are possible. Because if you don't believe it's possible, then you'll never have it. If you believe it's possible, then there's a possibility for you. So once I was on a call, it was a conference call with top agents, and a really great lady that I went and prospected with her too in Colorado, Karen. And she was on the call. But anyway, some people were talking on the call, not her though. And they were saying, well, this guy, Froy, who sells hundreds of homes, and he prospects 8 hours a day or whatever. I mean, I actually know he prospects a lot because I've had personal friends that went to shadow him. And he did is 3 hours on the phone and 3 hours door knocking. And but he gets a lot of listings. So on this call, before it began officially, it's like me opening this call 10 minutes earlier. They were talking. You know how people talk on the call? You just listen in, maybe 30 people. And somebody said, "You really believe what he does? It's really true. I do really believe it." And then Karen jumped in and she said, "Let's believe it's possible. So it would be possible for us." And then we discussed last time anybody was on the call, but it's worth mentioning is, are you my next appointment? Are you my next appointment? And I converted it myself. You are my next appointment. And I visualize is that when you do neuroscans, ECGs, as someone imagining something and actually doing it, it lights up the same area. So what if you really got good at visualizing? It really took my prospecting to the roof. The only thing with me, the challenge I have, I'm kind of like too excited. I want to get on the phone. And I think, I just want to get on the phone. So if I could control myself, and which sometimes I could, I just visualize setting appointments. And I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. I don't know what happens. Somebody else probably knows the other woo-woo aspect of that. But all I know is I'm getting on the phone and it's happening the way that I visualized it. So let's use all these things because we want I have a philosophy of life, and that is every advantage possible. Every advantage possible. So talking about Michael Jordan, for example, I'm not sure. I've told people and they didn't, even though they read his books, they go, "I didn't know that." So I want you people to, they came on the call, and very kind to see you here. I really appreciate it. To come on the call today is I want you to know this, and even to hear it twice, maybe, or 3 times, if you heard it before, is that, well, I'll tell you how it happened. I'm calling a client, a prospective client. He said, "I'm already in coaching, Richard. I'm with this company." and I like it. And obviously, when it comes to skills, everyone knows, even in that big company, you're the GOAT, and the skills and whatever. I said, yeah. He said, but I've already got a coach. And all I told him is a story. I said, are you aware that Michael Jordan was given two coaches by his team? Because everybody was. So everyone got two coaches assigned to them. But Michael Jordan, out of his own pocket, went out and hired 3 more coaches because he wanted to be the best on the planet, the best ever. And nobody else would do that, right? So at that time, that wasn't normal even to do that, to hire a coach on the side. But he wanted to be the best. And within me saying that, that my coaching client said, how do I sign up? And I sent him a PayPal. Boom.